and welcome to the Mercedes Lucke Benedict show. And tonight I have a very special guest. I always say they're very special, but I think they all are. So tonight I want to share with you this really person I love. For her name, Lala Bright.
Thank you.
And I think that name, Lala, hello, and thank you so much for being here. I love your name. I think it's like perfect for you.
Thank you
It's
very much.
it's like the perfect name for you. And I just want to say you look so pretty today. Look how pretty that, and I love the background, and that's really neat. And I'm so happy that you're here with me.
Thank you.
And so it's very interesting because I was writing down some things to talk about, and it's like right away your words are artist, experiencer, contactee, abductee, remote viewer, medium, and starseed. And like all of those are so great. And I'm a remote viewer. So
Okay.
it's really, really cool that, when I connect with somebody that actually says I am a remote viewer, I always feel this connection because, that's like a word that I think people act weird about. And
Yeah.
so, it's
Yeah.
nice to see somebody else out there like doing what I'm doing. And I appreciate that. I appreciate you putting it out there. So let's just kind of talk a little bit about, let's let you talk, okay? And tell us about who Lala Bright is.
Okay. I'm a psychic medium, and my dad, he was a psychic, but he did Reiki healing. He called it healing of the hands. He had, I think he was abducted. I know he had visitations because I was there for one of them actually. Um, I started hearing ghosts, spirits when I was about 5. My neighbor passed away, Grandma Cheyenne, we called her, and we lived in Baltimore. And my parents and I went to a Baltimore grave, and it's a huge grave. It's like thousands of graves. So they went off one place, and I just wandered around, and I heard her in my ear say, "I'm over here," and I feel like she literally led me to her grave, and I put my hand on it. And my mom never really liked it until she, like the last year she was alive. But my dad knew it was time to start talking to me about what we do and what we are. Um, and then visitations. I guess it started. I guess I was around 5. Also, I would always have multiple dreams of me in my backyard at night, looking up at the sky, and there'd be these silver discs flying over me. But I didn't know what those they were until years later. From my dad was watching a movie, and they were in the movie. I go, "Oh, I dream of them all the time," you know. And he never was comfortable talking about them. He didn't mind talking about spirits and all that, but he never liked talking about UFOs. Um, and then I guess I'll jump to a little over 20 years ago. I found out by accident that I have an implant in my left leg. And it's still there. I used to fly back and forth to Florida. I was dating somebody then, and I kept setting off the metal detector. And I finally said, "Can I see what you're looking at? Because I don't have anything in my pocket." And it's like the size of a piece of rice. It's still there. There's no marks. It doesn't hurt. I never fell or had surgery. It shouldn't be there. Um, and I've seen crafts all my life. They've always been around, but I just didn't share it with anybody until 2 years ago. Really, I never talked about it.
Wow. Okay. So that's, yeah. Wow. That's a lot. That's amazing. So this has been going on a long time. It's in your family. And so is your dad still alive?
No, a couple years ago, I lost my dad and my mom, and then my boyfriend, my son's father. Um, all around like within a 2 year and a half, 2 year period. But that's when I started seeing crafts more. I actually would say, "Can you please just help get me out of my thoughts?" And they looked like little stars moving around and zigzagging, and
Yeah.
they would listen to me. They really would. So that helped me through grieving because I really didn't have anybody to talk to,
Mhm.
because it was hard for me to hear my family because I was in my way of my grief was in the way of hearing them. So only for emergencies did I hear their voice talk to me. But at the same time, I had really bad paranormal activity. Every time I lost somebody, something creepy would happen. I mean, I woke up to something being inappropriate to me. I had boxes pile up in the doorway so I couldn't move. I had water bubble up. I mean, just weird stuff. So it was crazy. It was overwhelming, really.
And so when did and that started, basically you lost a lot of people at that
Mm,
time, and then that's the time when, well, you know what, everything is like for a reason. So
right.
obviously they transitioned, and um and it helped you in a growing pattern.
Yeah.
So that's like a blessing in a way. So when you do you believe that you are like a star seed? So you believe that you're connected into the star families and things like that?
Yeah. The only reason I even figured that out is one night I was looking at the stars and I said, "Can you tell me where my home is?" Because I never felt like I was at home here. I never really fit in. And then later that night, I have a lot of visitation dreams or psychic dreams. And that night I had a dream about it's that M56. And so I woke up and I Googled it, and it's about, Lyrans, Palladians, and I had no idea about this kind of stuff at all. I really didn't. So that started me down that path of learning about it.
Right. For people that have not heard about the Palladians, I've been told I come from the Palladians. Um, my journey has been kind of strange, like yours in a way too. Um, but yeah, so I always found that very fascinating to be able to learn about those different things. So for somebody that doesn't understand what we're talking about, can you kind of talk about what the Pleiades is and what that means to you and the different star systems?
Yeah, there are different types. I'll say it easy. There are different types of aliens. A lot of people think that the first humanoid looking aliens came from there. So a lot of us came from there. And they're kind. They help us here now. They probably are the ones that interact the most with people. There's a couple others, but they're. I mean, some look like humans, some look like cats. So
Oh, like cats?
there's some, yeah. I,
Oh, okay. Because I've seen some faces like that where I've seen that in images or pictures, and I didn't realize it like was like a cat person or something. That's kind of interesting to think about that. So when did you start doing your show Orbis Paranormal?
Bob and I, my boyfriend Bob McGuire, we started a couple months ago, really putting effort into it.
Oh my
Um,
God!
it's really cool. He's retired CIA, so I
What?
yeah, it's cool. He's a scientist, retired CIA, so we balance each other out. But it's a compliment that I'm not crazy. I always fought the thing like, am I crazy? Is this real? So it's a nice validation. Um, and I met him by accident. I'm really shy, so usually spirits show someone on my phone. They'll literally pop somebody on my phone, a picture of them, and I know to give them a reading. And I found him online. I gave him a reading, and it just started from there. And we moved in. We started videotaping a lot of our experiences, and then a couple months ago, we decided we're going to start incorporating other people. He's got a lot of friends in this field, so it's fun to hear everybody's story. You know,
Wow, I probably started watching you about a couple of months ago and
you should
seeing you.
come on.
I thought that you'd had been doing this a long time because it was really kind of neat, like I
Thank
thought
you.
you'd been doing. That's awesome.
Thank you.
Wow, and what a great match that is to actually have a person connect in with you. I think he's really neat. Um Yeah, so hopefully next time we'll have both of you on and you can share different experiences. So let's just kind of sashay into the experiences. So
Okay.
when you guys are together, does he actually see a lot of things with you, like it's
Mhm.
like you guys resonate and bring things in a way?
Yeah, I just talk to them from my heart because they know your intentions. You can't hide your intentions from them. They can sense it. And they'll show up. Sometimes they show up as this round metal ball that is like lit up and it'll fly around, disappear. He's seen that twice so far. And sometimes they're just orbs that fly around. Um, but he talks to him too. He does pretty good. So, but a lot of times we catch it on the camera, so I'll speak to them and then we videotape it, and that's how he sees a lot of it too. Sometimes I see it and he doesn't see it, but he'll see it through the camera.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so I have a client, so I remote viewing, and I have a person in California that I talk to every week. And one of the things that we communicate about is that he sees so many at night, the stars, and he'll see things in the sky, and it's right over the coast. And so I always try to tell him similar things like you're saying, but I think I'm going to have him watch the show and
Okay.
see what you're saying, because it's somebody different saying it. But like myself, I haven't been out there lately because it's so hot, but I can go outside and I can say up to the when I'm at night by the fire, and I'll say to the sky, I'll say to the stars, "Can I see a falling star tonight?" And
Oh,
I'll hear a yes, and I'll say, "Can I see that in less than 10 minutes?" And I'll get a yes or no, and I can get it down to like the 30-second mark almost, to where then a falling star will happen.
that's amazing.
I know it. Isn't that, I'm like, I and so it can happen numerous times at night, and Joe and I he sits out there every night, whether it's cold or hot like it is in Arizona right now. He'll stay out there, but I can literally ask, and I can say which side of the sky will it be in, and I'll be given like a direction.
Right.
So I try to tell my client, like, he does similar things, so he'll see what's like what you just said, and we've seen that too, especially Joe, my husband. He
Mhm.
sees more things flying around, like in the air, like a silver ball
Yeah.
going from one place to another. And literally, I have interviewed several people for this documentary I'm doing
Mhm.
that have been in the same area, and they've seen exactly what you've described,
Wow.
exactly the exactly what you described. And so, and but there a lot of us here, we're in the country, right? So there's the people like me and others around here, we like being here, we like being outside and just being chill and being in
Yeah.
nature, right? So I think a lot of times that is important because you're more still,
Yes.
I don't know, or you're willing to wait and see what that is. So could you talk a little bit about, now that you heard that, could you kind of add to it? Have you had more experiences like that, or do you know others that have had experiences like I talked about?
Um, I know they're more active when I'm outside. If I try to be lazy and stay in, just look at the camera, they want me to put in effort. I've noticed. And so when I'm outside, I am more peaceful, and it's almost comforting in a weird way, like you're talking to a friend, or family maybe. And I know most of my life, it either made me scared or I ignored it. And when we moved in here, I swear there was so much activity from them when we first moved in. The first couple months, it was overwhelming how much, and it actually made me nervous. And I said, "Can you stop for a little bit?" And they backed off for like 2, 3 days, and then I said, "Okay, I'm ready." But I swear they were excited because they always try to get my attention my whole life, and I would disregard it or whatever. And we had, I mean, like a three-legged turning ball come out of the wall out front. Just weird stuff. Um, but yeah, if I'm outside, Bob's with me, or I'm by myself, it's peaceful. I feel like there's a better connection that way. And so it's easier that way. And plus, my ADD isn't going off. If I'm inside, I'm going to see something shiny and go do something. You know what I mean? So, yeah.
I've noticed you have you do have a lot of great guests on your
Thank you.
show, like a good variety and some very interesting people. So I guess a lot of those come from Bob too, right? Because he knows a lot of these
Yep.
CIA. And so, like when he was in the CIA, when we'll talk to him too, but was he in that type of CIA department or no?
No, he wasn't, but he did have a few experiences. And the one he talks about, he was on top of the submarine they were using, and something shined over it, and it blocked out the night. And I think he got in trouble for talking about it, or they made him say that nothing happened, something like that. He'll talk about it. But and I wasn't there for that, but he does have a video of when he was living in Alabama. Three orbs came up to his backyard and just hovered, and then they went away. But he showed me that it was amazing because he's friends with Chris Bledsoe, and when he went to his house and came back, that's when those orbs came and visited him at his old house in Alabama. So it's interesting. He called it a hitchhiker. That's what he said.
Do you yeah, I call spirits hitchhikers a lot because, they're always, you know, um hitching on. Do
Yeah,
you have a lot of so you're a remote viewer.
yeah.
Do you see like how did that begin for you
I,
that you remember?
I didn't know I was actually doing it for a while. I thought it was just something psychic that I was doing. And then I found a lady online. She worked for the police department, and so she'd give me they tested me, and she'd give me cold cases of children that had passed away. And I would find where their bodies were, who did it. It was usually the family, honestly. It was sad. Really, it was. Or a family member or a friend of a family. So I quit that after a while because it was too much. I couldn't handle that. Um, and then when I started dating Bob, we got lessons from Simeon Hines. He's a really, really great remote viewer. He got taught by, was it Ingo? I know I forgot the guy's name. It's a weird name, but he's government taught, and so is Simeon Hines. And that helped me categorize how to do it better. There was a way he was teaching, like, how does it feel? Does it smell? Does it have a color? What's around? So it helped me so much with that. And then I started helping an ex-police officer a few months ago with cold cases again.
Mm.
And so I try to help. I do it and then I stop. I can't do it long because it takes too much out of me emotionally, if
Yeah,
that makes sense.
I can imagine. So I know I have another friend that is Anne, and she has helped people with the police, and it's been really, I think it's really hard to do that. I think it would be fascinating. I would like to do that someday. um See if I could help, but I could see where that would be. Yeah, because like you're right in there. So like there are times like I can, there was one place that I could just see. I mean, like this whole hospital, and I draw all this stuff, and I'd say what I saw in the cellar, and and then the lady the next day didn't tell me a thing, but she started sending me all the newspaper stuff. So
Mhm.
everything from this town in, I think it was in Millnocket, was it was there. It was all there. It
Yep.
was all in their history. I even saw a Thunderbird, and that was, believe it, is part of their mountain was the
Oh my
Thunderbird.
God.
So it's like, to me, it's like it's just a crazy, wonderful gift. And
Yeah.
then, but you know, it can be. Well, I think we all have to learn to be able to protect ourselves and separate things, but
Yeah,
without, but yeah, I think things can definitely, and especially if it's a killer, because they could still be alive, or it's their
yeah,
spirit, their entities attached to them.
that's scary.
They're the ones. Ugh. So yes, but I think it's really awesome that you actually have done that, Lala, to take
Thank
that
you.
stand and help people. Wow, that's really great. It's
I,
nice to,
oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
as it is just nice to know that, nice to know you.
Thank you. I try. Like I said, I'm super shy, but I do try to. I want to help people. The whole reason I started giving readings for people after I lost my family was so I knew I didn't have anyone to go to, and I didn't want anyone's heart to hurt as much as mine was. So that's I kind of came out of hiding and started doing the readings for people. And that's the whole reason. I just want to cheer people up because it's tough. This life is rough, and losing someone is rough, you know. But I
Yeah.
want to say you said something about protecting yourself, and that's true because a lot of times I would forget to protect myself. And I remember I was doing a reading for somebody who lost their, I guess, grandmother, and she had a lot of health issues, but there was one, I swear to God, I started sweat. I never sweat. I started sweating bullets, and I had a really bad pain in like my belly button area. And I finished the reading, and the next day I went to the doctor. I got a hernia from a reading. I wrote the person, and the grandmother had a really bad hernia. And I'm just like, why can't I read someone who won the lotto and then I win the lotto? Like, you know,
No, no. Oh my God. See, that just shows you how intense it can be. Like, that is one of my big deals, is like in my work for like with the doctor for all these years. He retired last year, but that was like a person can come in and I could just, I was in two car accidents, like almost died
oh
both
my
times. And
God.
so that's like, instead of dying, that this is what happened. But I can literally, you're probably like this too. Like I can tune right into what is happening in my body. So
Yeah,
yeah, it took a lot for me to figure it out, a lot of helpers to be able to say, no, that's not mine. But
right.
yeah, if I don't stick to my ritual routine or whatever, it's like it can come in. So
Yeah.
what, that's a good question. So what do you do, like when you're ready for that and you're in your routine? What is your type of routine of safety?
What I do, and even if people don't believe this necessarily, I just say imagine doing it. If you don't believe it, even if you imagine it, it still helps you. I surround myself with a bright white light from under my feet to the top of my head and all around. I stop and imagine my feet and like roots going into the ground. So it's a grounding thing. It's very visual for me. It helps me. And I say nothing negative is allowed to be around me or hidden or anything. And when only positive, loving, good intentions. And then I say when the reading's over, any energy that wasn't originally with me has to leave right away. Because I used to forget to say that too. And they'd hang out. And
Yeah.
they wouldn't be scary, but I'd be like, what is going on here? I just didn't get it. So
Yeah, exactly. They'll just stay right there with you. One of my people that helped me learn a lot in Ho'oponopono, she would say like she noticed that, and she'd see like it was almost a waiting room in her house,
oh
to
my
where
God.
all these spirits were there waiting, and so she had to like tell them no, but it was part of it because she hadn't really realized how to say no, you're not allowed in this space, or no, you have to leave. But it's
Right.
just fascinating. And I had somebody comment, or some comment, I think it was yesterday, but it was, oh yeah, I found some weird thing that somebody had said to me about me, random, from the Paracon I had done last year. And I was looking, I'm like, why do they pick on me? Because I don't even know them. But they picked on the fact that I said I was an energy healer, and that was like part of what I do. They're like, yeah, they said something. I'm like, well, don't people, I just think people realize, like, now in our world today, that we are actually made of energy, like frequency. Oh, it's a frequency. I'm a frequency healer, is what I said. And so it's all frequency, and
Yeah.
including these things that you've gone through, the things that we're dealing with in the sky. It's all frequency.
Yes.
The fact that you can tune in and communicate with them, they're picking up not just on your words but your frequency. Do you agree with that?
I 100% agree. Absolutely. And it's even scientifically proven everything has a frequency. I mean, what flowers, everything. It's just it's science and spiritual. It's just who we are. We are energy, we are frequency, and we just happen to be in this physical body right now. But when we leave, we'll go back to being the energetic frequency that we are.
Right.
So,
And you even picking up the frequency of that woman that passed on,
you know,
her illness. Like, people don't realize it, but that's what an illness is. It's like it is a frequency, and that's how come you can do the hands-on healing, or you can put it in a box and ship it off somewhere. There's so many different things that we can do. So, okay, so like, what do you feel like in the next year, since you've kind of come in for 2 years doing this and you've really been growing, what do you see for your future, like in the next year to 2 years?
I'd like to keep helping people either heal or connect to someone they miss. I also help with people who have been abducted. I don't necessarily communicate with the aliens. I can see, like almost looking at a photo book, family photo book, what happened to them, where they got an implant, so it's more of a healing validation. So they go, oh yeah, I did have my left arm. It's got a scar there all of a sudden. I was wondering what. So I do that. I'd like to get better at that. I'd like to learn how to take more time and connect more. I took a couple months off with talking to my sky friends. I got too addicted to it. I'll put it that way. I'd stay up all night, and so I had to back off. But they've been flashing outside at night at me. There's one I call the flasher. That's what he does. Or she, I don't know. And so I feel like they're calling me again. I want to connect with them more than I have been. And Bob would like for us to write a book. So that's probably what's going to happen within the year.
Oh, I think that's a great idea. Do
Yeah.
you go have you gone to any of the paracons or any of the UFO, you know, uh, things, like where
Um,
you've been a speaker?
yeah. We last year we did Lauren Fenton's conference. That was my first one. I was terrified, but we did it. And everybody was really sweet. I want to go to a para conference. Is that what they're called? I want to do that. I didn't even
Yeah.
know that was a thing. Honestly, I've lived under a rock. So
I know. I had my first one last year. It was our very first one ever in Tucson. So I thought that was really great to be able, and it was a beautiful place, and I thought I really liked it. So I think it's something, I definitely would like to do that more too. So yeah, so the Paracons, I think that would be perfect for you too, because you're like multidimensional. You're
yeah,
all kind of connected anyway.
it's strange because I'm like I'm so boring and shy. I mean they give me an excitement. I'd be just nobody'd want to hear me talk if it weren't for what they're doing. Honestly. And I'm like, I wonder why they picked me. But I like some conspiracies. I drive Bob crazy. But I'm O negative blood. So are my parents. And I've heard a lot that O negatives get abducted a lot. And every person I've ever read for was O negative and they got abducted. And they were aware they got abducted. So, and our friend Melinda Leslie, she's O negative. She's been abducted many, many times, and she's had hybrid children, all kinds of stuff.
Wow.
So, it's
Well,
interesting.
now that you can actually kind of talk about these subjects, which probably a few years ago, I don't even think I really don't know if people were or not, because maybe they were, maybe they weren't. I don't know. But so can you talk a little bit about your personal experience, how you feel like, what happened to you?
Yeah. Can I share a couple of times I've seen them like a craft come up to me and things like that?
Oh, yeah, just whatever you want to talk about.
Okay. Well, the coolest one I remember where I saw detail of the ship, I saw underneath of it. I was, it was maybe 6 years ago. Yeah, about 6 years ago. I was with my friend. We got coffee. We were in the parking lot, and we kept seeing these strange red, looked like fireballs, kind of going over the car. And it was just weird. We didn't know what they were, and so we said, "Well, let's. I don't want to die tonight, so let's just go home. I'll drive you home." So I get on the road. We're just going slow. It's nighttime, and there's this huge cloud in front of us, and all of a sudden there's a black helicopter with a spotlight on, and it shines on the cloud, and that's when I saw this huge. I mean, this thing was huge. It was a craft hiding in this cloud, and I drove under it, and it didn't have lights on, but I saw it because of the helicopter light, and it was a black metal, and it looked like a bunch of really big pipes like intertwined with each other. That's all it was under there. But they were so big, they were as wide as the body of the helicopter. So these were really big pipes, or whatever you want to call it. And I remember when I drove under it, it was so low to the ground that there was no more sky anymore. It was just the craft. And I don't remember driving her home or going home. She doesn't remember any of it. But I remember the detail of this thing. And it's amazing. Every time I've seen a craft, I've had missing time. I've had a lot of missing time even without seeing a craft. And I didn't know I was having missing time for a long time, and I would get in trouble for it. And I wouldn't know what to say because I'm like, I've only been gone 5 minutes. What are you talking about? And I'd be gone like 3 hours. And the other time I saw something with my dad, and I was in Florida visiting my parents, and I was helping him take the trash out at night. And all of a sudden, I got this strange feeling. I looked up at his roof, and there were these huge orange orbs, like probably 4 or 5 feet around. There were five of them, and they went into a shape of a V, and they were so close to his roof they could have touched it. And I go, Dad, do you see this? Because we were like best friends. He was into this stuff. I was into it. We always talked about it. And he looks up at them, and robotically he says no, and he goes into the house. And that, he would have never done that. You know what I mean? And so I look back up them, and one at a time they disappear. And then I don't remember taking the trash out after that. I don't remember going in the house. I remember waking up the next day, and we never talked about it. And I call this alien Xanax. It's where they would do something where I wouldn't talk about it with anybody. I wouldn't research it. I wouldn't even really think about it. It's strange, and even now I have to fight that feeling because sometimes, like, I'll wake up with a triangle bruise, and that actually Grant Cameron's actually talked about that specific bruise. I woke up because we had a video of a visitation the night before, and I have to fight myself to get out of this fog. They don't want me to talk about it, and it's strange. So that was a lot. Sorry.
No, no, that's amazing. So, I would say that's probably part of it, huh? Because they don't. You do feel like you can't talk about it, or it's like something come over. Have you seen the missing 411 guy and
Yeah,
his? Oh my god.
yeah,
Like we got that movie for at Christmas. I think it was, or just Christmas before, one of them. But um, yeah, that one to me, what those his how he explains those things,
hmm
or in those movies, I thought were very interesting. How the people just feel as if they are, they just they do feel like they kind of are covered, with a
right,
with some kind of covering of, you know keeping quiet, or whatever. Like, so I've had experiences. Well, I've seen actual, like, driving from California to back into Arizona. I mean, I saw. I was like, why? We stopped at a gas station after we were watching it. I'm like, nobody saw it. I was like, why aren't these people out here? Because you
right.
could see it flying and going up and down. I mean, it was. It went on for hours, and
Oh
we
my
watched the.
God.
Yeah, I mean, so that was like my big first one, and then out here on this property, we've seen like, and but this was before Elon started doing things, and it's like, oh, it's Elon now, right?
Yeah,
But
Starlink or something.
yeah, we were seeing things like, what is that? So out here, I think this is really a place where there's a lot of activity. One question, so one thing I found out is, so we're like next to missile silos, and we're also by all these airfields that
Mhm.
are that were part of, the Marana airport, or there's little
Mhm.
ones everywhere, right? So there's a lot of this paranormal activity with airplanes and
Mhm.
flights going down. Have you experienced anything like around, have you heard of anything with missile silos or things connected to that in your
Okay.
research?
Yes, I'm glad I forgot. Actually, I before I lived here, I lived closer to Baltimore, and like a block away was Martin State Airport, and right next to it was a Lockheed Martin, and it was all government thing. And I would always see these strange white orbs follow a plane, and then a helicopter would follow the orb. And so there's always a helicopter around any type of craft, whether it's an orb or ship. But there was so much activity at that base. And I remember I was driving again to Florida. I went to Georgia to stop at a hotel, and the worker there was an older man. And I made a joke like, "Hey, have you seen any aliens lately?" Just joking, kind of. And he goes, "I used to work at the place near my house, Martin State Airport. He was in the government, and they did some type of testing, and he got cancer, and then his wife died of cancer, and he retired. But he said there is a man-made island behind there, and it's in the water. It's right up to the Chesapeake, or leads in the Chesapeake. And he said there's a certain star aligned with the island, and he winked at me. And so I still haven't figured out what star is aligned with it, but I looked on Google Earth. There is a man-made island back there. And he said they do all kinds. He's like, there's things there you'd never believe me that I've seen there. And I knew what he was talking about. But real quick, when I was driving past there on a different day, there were a bunch of. This is a day I learned that crafts can look like orbs sometimes too, and I didn't know. And there were a bunch of flickering ones, and I thought I was losing my mind at first, but then I saw the helicopter come out of the base and fall, just hover. And it was a man standing in the helicopter, and it looked like this bolted down bazooka thing. And they were aiming at it, but nothing was coming out of it. I'm not sure what it was, but I kept circling around. I watched it for like 30 minutes, and they went so low to the ground that my car got, like, the air from the helicopter shoved my car off the road a little bit. It was, I
Wow.
mean, it was exciting, I have to say, even though I was stupid. I shouldn't have done it. But, I always thought when there's helicopter in Baltimore, it's because there's a criminal running around. But now I'm like, no, it's probably an alien. So,
Yeah.
but it was a black helicopter, and then two white helicopters were in the corner over top the base, and they wouldn't get close, but they hovered and they watched. It was interesting.
Wow. So we have lots of the black helicopters, but we do live by air bases. So it's kind of like, well, somebody would say like, well, that's just helicopters, but it is a little interesting. So my friend Bill Bean, um,
Yeah.
you know Bill?
He's my online friend. I don't know him personally, but he's always been really nice to me. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So I'm like moderator on his show, and then
Cool.
he's been key. He's the one that actually came and saved us on our property. God just sent him to me, and he did 3 exorcisms within 6 months period on our property, and yeah, so we're living a different life, and life is just, just every year I'm just like, wow, I can't believe how life,
Can
it's not perfect all the time, but we're definitely in a better space, and we keep up our rituals that Bill, really strict with how he kind of helped us. But anyway,
can
when
I
you
ask?
when you listen to Bill, he is always, so in the Baltimore, Maryland area, he is always seeing the black helicopters, and
Mhm.
he's always, I guess, even for like at least a decade or so, it's something that he was well known for, because he would go to a certain area and it would be almost like they would show up. So he
Oh,
almost had a reputation of that, years ago. And so he's fascinating. You would love to
wow.
talk to him. He's got pictures and videos, and we've been in two of his books, the last
Wow.
two. Yeah, it's been really amazing. So really nice. He actually did two. I'm a musician and singer songwriter, so he did two of my songs with me, the new
No.
ones where he did like the guitar part.
Mhm.
I just love him. But yeah, he's fascinating. But he talks about these black helicopters that are always with these orbs and
Right.
always with these aliens. So they're like a team.
Yes. And I had no clue.
You must be because that, I mean, that doesn't happen to me. So that must be something, really. There must be something about you that has that something, that it's part of who
I,
you are, that
I
is kind of
feel
around.
I do. I feel like I'm monitored somehow. I know this sounds crazy, but I mean, why else would I have an implant in my leg? Why else would I see things? Why else would these helicopters fly? I mean, they fly over our house. I don't know. I'm whispering, but they fly over our house sometimes, really, really low, and it's strange. And even Bob's like, "Here they are again." It's just and they put the spotlight. We had this on video. They put the spotlight on our back porch while we were on it. It's just there's tons of stuff he's going to talk about, but it's strange. I always felt like I was weird sharing this with people. It's just an odd thing to say, but it
Yeah.
really happened. But the one thing I want to say is I found Bill online because I've been part of what I'm doing now too is looking into exorcists and what they do and those types of entities and demons and stuff like that. It's very interesting. It used to terrify me, but it's very interesting, and I feel like my family, because my family, they died very strangely. It just didn't make sense, and with all the bad negative activity that happened with each death. And I mean, I even lost a best friend after I lost my boyfriend. So it was like back to back to back. Something doesn't feel right. And so I've been trying to learn more about it, but slowly, because it's a little terrifying how real this is,
Oh yeah,
you
it's
know?
real. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow, that's fascinating. I too am very, with all that's happened, because part of my work is to clear things off people, right? So like when I'm tuning into you, I'm like I'm seeing these visuals as you're talking, and it's almost like, well, I don't know if I should do this on here, but it's
It's fun.
almost like I see these doorways. So I don't know if you've connected with that, but there's like when I'm seeing your family and how they almost like there was these doorways or connections through time, um, where, yeah, I mean, it almost feels like it was like, like I would say past life
Mhm.
issues that had kind of still been coming back and forth from each of these lifetimes. I personally have had to deal with all that ourselves, like connecting to all of my past lives. But so for Bill, wow, just what I mean, Lala, like I was not, that was the last person that, I mean, we did like 7 years before Bill with, we didn't go with anything looking for an exorcist. We went for everything else, right?
Right.
But Bill, what he did here, what it ends up is that it needed him. It actually was calling. The property was calling. The land was calling
I
for
believe it.
him, because it was a cross of different curses. It was a cross of different blood spilled. I mean, I could go on and on. But what's interesting is since this with Bill has happened with me, then now I'm actually working with the Order of Exorcists. That's if you see me in my post or
What?
whatever, I'm now working as the podcast producer with the Archbishop who I
Oh,
met from Bill Bean. So
that's
he was
exciting.
on, yeah. So like it's so, and so they have an order of exorcists that he started 40 years ago that are all over the world.
Oh,
It's international, and so Archbishop Ronald
my.
Enright is. I mean, so it's like that's all. I'm like, how in the world did I? All this is, but it's like there's some sort of purpose beyond my purpose,
Yes, yes.
right?
Yep.
And so it's kind of like, wow. But I am very fascinated with what they do. And the past few months, it has been me that is taking the calls that come in or the
Mhm.
cases. So you would love this. It's really hard because I've had to just be the one taking the information,
Yeah.
but and then have to kind of hold my mouth or just kind of tell them a little bit what they could do to get help. But
Right.
it's been interesting. But I think I think this whole thing is almost like it's coming up. It's probably coming up for you too. Like we're seeing that there's so much that is real, but it's
Yes.
also intertwined with the outer world, with the stars, and it's like so I think there's a lot of us, like yourself, Bob, me, just a lot of people right now that we're seeing it all playing out in
Yeah.
so many ways.
Yeah.
And so I think it's fascinating you just said that, so like if you ever want to, you know do know more, I can
Yes, I
connect
do.
you with them. Yeah, I mean, it's but to me it's fascinating. Now my husband, oh my gosh, he lived through all this, and he really just wants it to go away. But I'm
That's
so like
understandable.
I'm
Yeah.
so yeah, I'm so in this world now, and it's just part of my mission. So I think it's neat that you and Bob are like a team.
It's cool. I mean, he's given me strength to come out of my shell. He's made me realize I'm not a weirdo. He's validated a lot of my experiences that I've had. He said, a lot of people have been through that too. It's not just you. So
Yeah,
I needed that. And he's gotten me to speak my truth. This is so healing doing this and talking about it. I mean, it's helped me so much. Just it's the heaviness I used to feel I don't feel anymore. And so we want that for other people. I know we had an energy, a star friend visit us, and the message was pretty much they help us, we help them, but we're here for soft disclosure. That's what right now we're supposed to be doing. So a lot of people are scared of this or push it away or don't believe it. So we show the experiences we've had, we talk about it. It's not scary. There are some that aren't that great, but most of our experiences, 95%, have been really, really fun or loving. And so we like to share our information so that if someone else doesn't know how to talk about what they've been through, they know that they can find us online or they can find another group online or, you know what I mean? There's always a way to talk about it safely. So
yeah,
that's what we're doing.
that's important.
Yeah.
um oh yeah, you were also on my friend, Dr. Kelly, Dr. Kelly Schutz.
Oh, yeah. She
So
was
then
so
I saw
cool.
you on, yeah, I saw you on her thing. I'm like, wow, she's on Kelly's show too. That so yeah, I've been seeing you, and I'm like, wow, that's cool. Yeah, so she's had her own experiences. Yeah, she's in my
Yeah.
documentary. She's in the documentary.
She had a
Uh,
handprint on her, didn't she?
yeah, she's got a handprint. One person I think would love to talk to you is Lee Hampel, and
Okay.
I had him on the show, but he's actually experiencing things in the place just went off out of my head, but it's the cheese. The place where they have the cheese is,
Wisconsin.
yeah,
Okay.
Wisconsin. It's where the it's the Bry Road Beast. So I saw him on Small Town Monsters, and
Okay.
I one day I'm like, I want to interview him, and I called him, and he said, yeah. So he's been great, but
Cool.
it's all UFOs,
Okay.
and he's got so much evidence, but it's all related into the UFOs. He's got UFO footage, and
Wow.
the footage of the it's like they are actually able to go through time sequences.
Yes.
It's like they'll just or he'll film something where um it's right there, but they can't see it,
Right.
and it'll move through the screen like of the cameras. They've got cameras everywhere. So I'm going to connect you with him because he's so great, and I think he would love to talk to you if you'd
Oh,
like to talk to him.
sure,
But
of course.
yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
So yeah, this has been so exciting. Oh my
Thank
gosh. Okay. So we have like 8 minutes left. So
Okay.
so it sounds like you would like to talk to people, have people come, that you're there to comfort them or show them that it's, a place to have a resource
Yes.
to
Yeah.
help others. So how can people connect with you?
Um, Facebook, Lala Bright. On X or Twitter, I'm Lala Bright 59. Um, I have if you want to book a reading, my website is lalabrightllc.com. If you can't afford to book a reading and you want a reading, find me on Facebook and I'll give you one because I want everyone, if they needed, to get one. And so, yeah, I always reach out. I'm a great listener. I've literally heard everything before. Don't be afraid. I mean, I'm a mom, so I've definitely heard everything before. So, you know.
That's awesome. And so one thing also we should talk about is your beautiful art with your face painting.
Thank you.
You're always showing that. It's really beautiful. How long have you been doing that?
About 7 years. I took a year off last year, but I actually came from a big event. An hour before I had this show with you. I think I painted like 50 kids today. It was so cool. It was very quick, but it was very fun. I love it. But I mean, I found out by accident. My son years ago wanted to be a skeleton for Halloween at school, so I looked it up on YouTube. I fell in love with it. I was just a stay-at-home mom, and I was like, you know what? I can do this, and I can get paid for it. And so I mean, I've worked at the White House twice. I've worked at all kinds of corporations. It's amazing. I love it.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty big to do all that too. Wow. You're just not the average face painter.
They contacted me. I was like, you want me? They're like, yeah. I was like, I never thought I'd go to the White House for good reasons. This is great, you know?
Well, I mean, and so I was wondering, do you freestyle it, or yeah,
Most
or do
fun.
you? Oh yeah, because I was thinking, I wonder if she uses a stencil.
Since for the little kids, I use a stencil because it's quicker and they don't like to sit still.
Yeah.
But usually it's just freehand, and I've got every color on the sun and all the glitters. It's just very happy. I love butterflies and flowers and superheroes the most. So that's what I if a kid doesn't know what they want, I'm like, you want a superhero, right? You know, they love it. So
Lala, you're so awesome.
thank you very much.
Butterflies, flowers, and superheroes, my favorite.
This
Thank
was
you
nice.
Thank you so much for being on here tonight. Is there some other information like you? Oh, we didn't tell it how to watch your show. Is it on YouTube? Tell us about the show.
Okay, it's on YouTube every Tuesday evening at 9 p.m. Eastern. We took a week off today, but we're going to start back up. I forgot who's coming on, but that's okay. They're really great, I'm sure. But yeah, every Tuesday night, 9 p.m. Eastern, it's live on YouTube. And just come say hi or ask a question. We have lots of really great guests. I would love to have you on. That's for sure. So.
And I was thinking I'm Tuesday night too. So like I think
We can move it for you. We don't care. We're laid back. So I mean, just it's fine.
Oh, I would love that. That would be so great.
Okay.
That would be great. Yeah, so we're the Tuesday night kids in the house club here. Well, Lala, thank you so much, and I love knowing that you and Bob are like an actual couple. You're kind of like Mulder and Scully.
I like that, actually. Yeah.
I love Mulder and Scully.
Thanks.
So, in a way, you're like Mulder and Scully, but a different type of Mulder and Scully. A new, revised Mulder and Scully.
He's a grumpier.
Huh?
I said he's the grumpier one. No, but it's cool. It's exciting. He knows, he's a scientist and he knows how to do all the gadgets. And he picks up, he has gadgets that pick up energy and it monitors. I mean, it's amazing. It's amazing. So he goes with the proof. I go with the psychicness. And together, it really does show another world that's with us. We just can't always see it.
I love that. That's a great line. So like he goes with the science and you go with the psychic. However you said that.
Yep.
That's really good. That's a great book right there because it shows you like you got two different ways of doing things and they connect together.
Right.
Which I love
Two,
that. I love that.
two worlds that usually butt heads come together.
That's
In a
great.
loving way.
Lala, you're so awesome. And so thank you to everybody for watching here with us tonight. And if you're going to be watching in the future or anytime, the past, present, wherever you're going to be watching from, we are so thankful that you're here. And this is Lala Bright. And did you see that song I put out for you, Lala? It was like,
Yeah.
la,
It was cute.
la, la,
I
la,
love
la. I thought that was so cute. I was like, that's the song for Lala. Wait, and her show with Bob, her boyfriend, who's awesome. What's his last name?
it. McGuire.
Yeah, McGuire.
Yep.
So Bob McGuire, and they have it's Orbis Paranormal every
Yep.
Tuesday night, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I believe.
Yes.
So you guys check them out and go to her website and look at her face painting. And there's going to be an upcoming book pretty soon.
Yep.
She's awesome.
Thank
So
you.
we thank everybody for being here. Thank you, Lala. And thank you. We're sending out prayers of light to every single person that listens tonight. We give thanks for all of you and blessings to everyone. Thank you, Lala.
Thank you very much.
We'll see you next time.